Hey there, welcome back. So, how long does it take to actually learn Reiki? I mean, how long? Surely there must be a time limit on how long it must take to learn Reiki. Really great question that I got asked in one of my lives just the other day, and I thought I answered it in the live, but I thought this would be a really good content, a really good video to make, to try and get a little bit of a message out there for anybody that's interested in learning Reiki. So by the end of this video, you're going to understand everything involved with learning Reiki and the concept behind learning Reiki and what it is and how long it takes. So if you don't know who I am, welcome to my humble abode, welcome to my distance healing therapy room. My name's Ian and I'm a Reiki teacher in the UK. I also practice other modalities. I'm also a meditation teacher, and you can find all that information out on my website, which is reikizen.co.uk. But getting back to the topic at hand, how long does it take to learn Reiki? So Reiki, when taught, is usually taught in 3 levels, sometimes 4 depending on the Reiki teacher. So the Reiki teacher can make a decision on level 3 if they want to split it into 2 sections. So you can either have Reiki Master as one course and then a Reiki Master teacher as another course or separate. Personally, I just teach them together. I just think it flows nicely into the 2 days of the course. Reiki 1 and Reiki 2 usually taught over 2 days when taught in person. Just as a little header, I always recommend in-person training. I do not recommend online training or attunement. You can do your theory online, you could do refreshers online, but in-person training, especially when you're just starting out with Reiki, so much more beneficial. And in the long run, when you want to become a practitioner and practice professionally, if you're being trained and attuned in person, there's a lot less blocks and red tape in the way to get you on that path a little bit quicker. So Reiki level 1, we learn it over 2 days. You learn about the history of Reiki, you learn about the Reiki principles, you learn about the hand positions, you learn about all the different ways of being able to use Reiki. You touch on the energy body slightly, what the energy body is, the difference between healing and curing, and code of ethics. You learn all that sort of stuff. So it's a really great. It's the grounding. It's the setting stone of your Reiki system of belief, and it just puts everything in place. It's the foundations of everything to do with Reiki is on level 1. There's also usually 4 attunements on level 1. Some teachers only do 1 attunement, some do 3 attunements. Traditionally it's 4 attunements, and they are spaced out over the 2 days. So 2 attunements on day 1, roughly with around about 4 hours apart. On day 2, 2 more attunements, again with about 4 hours apart. That's why it's over 2 days. There's also a lot more to get through on Reiki level 1 because people tend to be new to Reiki, don't know much about it, and you're having to go through all that. So you've got your 2 days, you're learning level 1, you've done your 2-day course, you then go on to your 21-day clearing cycle. And that is where you give yourself healing, you give yourself Reiki, you practice on yourself every single day for 21 days. And that basically helps you to get into the habitual way of finding a space and time into each day to just allow yourself to be and to just give yourself that healing. That is what it's all about. That's the practice of it, and that's what it's for. So you've done your 2 days, you've done your 21-day clearing cycle. What about after that? When do we do level 2? Some people I know have learned level 1 and level 2 over a weekend at the same time. I don't recommend that personally. I would rather, so for my students, I tend to tell them that I prefer them to wait around about 4 to 6 months before they think about doing level 2. And you probably think, well, why so long, Ian? Well, what I found with people that have learned Reiki and start a path of healing, level 1 is increasing that person's vibration, and it can take quite a while for the person's body to adjust, the physical body to adjust to the change in frequency and the energy. So for some people it might happen quite quickly and they might feel fine and what have you, but then maybe after a few weeks of feeling fine, things might start coming up that we need to work on, that we need to heal, that we need to be aware of. That's why I like to give it that little bit of extra time, just to make sure that they know the principles inside out, they know themselves inside out, energetically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and they're starting that journey of self-discovery and self-awareness. And once they've got those foundations right, and it's all about grounding at the end of the day, once they've got the grounding and foundations of Reiki right, then it's time to step on to level 2. For me, I did level 1, and I had a lot of stuff come up after level 1. So it took me a few months till I was ready. And then after about, I think it was about 5 months, then I did my level 2. And then I did my level 2. So once we get to that point, we're going to go do level 2. So you're looking at around about, from level 1 to level 2, you're looking around about 4 to 6 months. So level 2, you learn your level 2. Same again. You learn about the symbols, you learn about the mantras, you learn deeper meditations, you learn more about the spiritual ways of being on level 2. It's a little bit deeper within the spiritual practice of Reiki. For me, level 2, what I tend to say is once you've done your level 2, I say to leave it at around about 9 months. So 9 months practice, self-practice, self-healing, self-development, practicing your distance healing, practicing to connecting to that energy and feeling all the different feelings that come up with that. So in total there, you're looking around about 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 months maybe between level 1 and level 2. So, and then you go on to the Reiki Master or Reiki Master Teacher, depending on how it's taught. Just a little bit of a side note, for me, level 2 was the biggest kind of like whoosh experience for me. I became very aware of a lot more stuff energetically around me, spiritually around me. I became a lot more aware of my abilities, my clairaudience, my clairsentience. I became a lot more, I was already quite empathic anyway. I became a lot more in tune with that ability. So, and it's taken me a while to be able to actually manage that and balance that. So again, with level 2 moving into level 3, it's different for everybody, by the way. This is just kind of like what happened to me, and you have to take what information you can from this for yourself. But for me, there was a lot of shifts. There was a lot of blocks being released and a lot of healing that I had to work on. And it was around about time that we were all in lockdown, so it was kind of like it was perfectly aligned, really. It gave me that chance before I then stepped onto the Reiki Master Teacher course. So the Reiki Master Teacher was about a year after my level 2. And I just knew inside, intuitively, that I was ready. I was ready for the next step. I could just feel a spiritual kind of like, yes, I'm ready, let's do this. So then I went and did my Reiki Master Teacher. Again, over 2 days. And 21-day clearing cycle as usual after each course, after each attunement. And then I now always say as well, before you even think about teaching, leave it around about a year. Leave it at least a year before you think about teaching, just to focus on yourself, focus on your energy, focus on the upgrades, focus on the stuff that comes through. And also it gives you time to think about how you want to teach. Think about maybe where you want to teach. Think about what you want to use to teach. Are you going to write your own manuals? That can take a long time. Are you going to use someone else's manual? So I use Penelope Quest's manual, the Reiki manual. That's the manual that I use. So I buy them and I give them to my students for their Reiki journey if they choose to use me for the rest of their Reiki journey. And it's the most concise, well-written manual you could ever find from a highly respected Reiki master here in the UK, and she's been practicing as a Reiki practitioner for over 40 years. So the information in there is really, really good. It's really down to earth. Some of it's a little bit outdated because it talks about using CDs for background music, whereas now we've got Spotify, we've got YouTube, we've got the different things we can use for background music. But other than that, the information is so spot on and so concise, and that's why I always recommend Penelope Quest on my courses, for anyone wanting to look for more literature, or Franz Steiner as well, who's been on this channel, who I've spoken to, and who I also keep in touch with and connection with. So then we're doing the Reiki level 3 again over the 2 days, and we're leaving it around about a year before we then go on to teach. But just because we've done the Reiki Master Teacher course, or you've done a Reiki Master course, does it mean you're a master? No, absolutely not. It does not. So do not let it get to your ego. Do not let it get to your head, because what I found when I did my Reiki master course, I was like, right, what do I do now? And I went all the way back to level 1 and I started relearning everything. I kept going deeper with my studies, looking deeper into the philosophy, Zen Buddhism, Shinto, all that sort of stuff that Reiki is deeply rooted in, this mysticism, this esoteric way of being. And to understand Reiki and to learn Reiki is like trying to say that you understand God and you understand consciousness on this higher plane of existence. We're all on this journey of learning. We're all developing and learning along the way. And I've been practicing now as a Reiki master teacher for 3-4 years, something like that. So not very long in comparison. But I'm still learning. I never think that I know everything. And I learn things from other teachers, other practitioners, and even some of my students on level 1 and level 2 will feel things, or they'll experience things, or they'll be aware of things. And I've never had that before. So we're constantly evolving, we're constantly learning. So never ever think that you get to a point where you totally understand and you know everything there is to know about Reiki, because that is never really the case. We're always evolving and we're always fine-tuning our knowledge and what we really learn. So to learn Reiki, the theory of Reiki, you can do it in maybe 2.5 years, 2 years, 2.5 years maximum if you want to go through that process. I would recommend doing that and being respectful with the energy, being respectful with Reiki and taking your time with it. Don't rush it. It's not something that you want to just sort of slap and pack together like a McDonald's meal or something like that and do it as quickly as possible. It's not fast food, and it's not to be learned fast. It's to be respected. It's to be upholded. This beautiful sacred art of healing, of being able to hold space for another person. It's not something we need to rush. It really is a spiritual journey that we need to take our time with. But the theory you can learn 2.5 years. The rest of it is all down to your soul, to your intuition, to your downloads of wisdom as you move on your Reiki journey. You're letting your ego step aside and following the path of what you're feeling with Reiki, which, by the way, is a lifetime. It is a lifetime of learning. And we never get to the tip of the iceberg, but we get a little bit closer. So how long does it take? It could be infinite, really. But I hope this answers a little question that a lot of people ask me about how long it takes to actually learn Reiki. The theory, a couple of years. The energy, knowing yourself, knowing the depth of yourself, knowing the depth of your soul, and then other people's souls that you're working with, takes a lot longer. Don't rush it. It takes as long as it takes. It's a beautiful process. Take your time, be respectful with it. I hope this helps. Much love. Bye for now.